This is the RPG Pundit, the final boss and internet shitlords. And today I'm going to be talking to you about a subject that I've covered way too many times from my point of view on this channel, which is Matthew Mercer. How does that guy always end up being in my videos? I swear I don't usually think very much about him apart from when he says something unbelievably stupid or does something dishonest, you know. So the news about Matthew Mercer is that there's been a post. It was done on Reddit originally, I think. I saw it on Twitter, where there was a description of what people are calling the MercerEffect, right? Which is something that's happening to a lot of DMs who run Dungeons and Dragons games, particularly with newer players, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe this is something that's been happening with you. And the thing is that you've had DMs talking about how they're setting up a game, they get people in, maybe they're people they know, maybe they're people they, advertise somewhere for them to join or whatever. But basically relative neophytes to the game. And these newbies come in, and what they want is for the game to look and to feel like Critical Role. This, in case you haven't watched my other videos or you don't know in general, Critical Role is a YouTube D&D themed reality TV show that Matt Mercer is the executive producer of, I suppose. I don't know. He's also the guy that acts in the position of the DM in this show. It's a show where everybody involved is a professional. Okay, they're all him and all of the players in the cast. Players are professional voice actors for the most part. Professional in the sense that they've tried to make a career out of it, right? I mean, I'm guessing that most of these guys, if this is where they've gotten to, are probably D-listers, right? Like, we're not talking, you don't have a guy on this that, you're going to recognize, it's not Matt Damon who's playing in Critical Role or something like that, right? But these are people who are nevertheless show business professionals, right? And the show has a fancy set, and I'm sure that the set design, I'm sure that the makeup, I'm sure that every aspect, the lighting, the camera work, all of that is professional work, because this is a show that makes money and the people involved get paid to do it, okay? Now, again, I'm not saying that they're not actually in some sense playing D&D, in the sense that they're using more or less using the rules, because if you've watched the show, there are vast swathes of time where the rules are kind of ignored. But, you can't totally criticize that, because there's different styles of DMing, right? And in the sense that they're playing characters, right? But they're also going off a whole bunch of techniques of improv theater, improv comedy theater in particular. But, there's stuff there that if you have a background in theater, you will immediately recognize as acting techniques, right? This is not just people playing their characters, not just people immersing their characters. It's people acting as though they're playing their characters and immersing their characters, which is a big difference. There's a difference between playing D&D and acting in an improv theater event where you are acting the role of someone playing D&D, right? There's false emotions going on in there, right? There's people that if you watch them, you can tell that their excitement is at the very least telegraphed, right? I'm not saying there are moments where they might get excited at playing the game, or that there might be moments where they're, afraid for their character or something like that, right? Like, there is some element of that, but a lot of it is greatly exaggerated for the freaking camera, right? And somehow there's a whole bunch of people who refuse to get this. And one of the reasons why they refuse to get this is because Matt Mercer insists on continuing to pretend that his is a D&D campaign, just like anybody else's, just plain old D&D, that are just a bunch of guys playing a role-playing game, that the fact that they're all extremely, professional actors and crew that give him all this backup and this setup, and that they have all these chops from improv theater, that they're probably following cues that Mercer is laying down that have been maybe even predetermined, right? None of that stuff matters, and it's just plain old D&D, right? And so there's people all over the place who are seeing these new players show up, and that they're expecting that the game will feel to them like as if they were actors in Critical Role. And of course it doesn't. because that is not a normal game of D&D. That is an abnormal show business event, right? A normal game of D&D does not look like, feel like, or have the production values with the sound stage and the props and the costuming that you see on Critical Role, right? It doesn't have that, and so they get there and they're all disappointed, right? And they're upset because they thought they were going to play D&D and that it was going to feel like Critical Role. So, there's a debate about what to do about it. How do you deal with these people, right? Because we're told that these shows like Critical Role, it's not the only show, right? It's just the most popular one, but these high production value shows have a huge audience, that this is somehow a great boon for D&D because a whole bunch of people are going to start playing D&D, right? But if they start playing and realize that they don't actually really like to play D&D, what they like is that they want to pretend to be reality show participants, right? They want to be YouTube stars. They don't want to play D&D. They want to have this experience of being YouTube stars on Matt Mercer's high drama, improv acting hour, right? That's what they want. And so how do you turn them from that to actually liking D&D? Now, I'm not going to really get into that part. There's other people talking about that. There are people talking about that on the Reddit. And over on Bleeding Fool, note, not Bleeding Cool, which is a piece of garbage, but Bleeding Fool, which is kind of the satirical, parody side of that has become increasingly serious as Bleeding Cool becomes increasingly self-satirical in its leftist nonsense. Over on Bleeding Fool, you have the evil DM, my friend Vince, who has just came out today with an article about the Mercer effect and his ideas about how to deal with it, where he's being a lot nicer than I am. He sent it to me. He was like, I'm going to be in so much trouble for this because this is so mean, right? And I can understand from his point of view, yes, it is mean in a way. He does really criticize the mentality behind what's going on, right? And how he correctly identifies it not as a wonderful element of D&D's diversity community or something like that, but as a really serious problem for the hobby. But then he's he's small e evil, I guess, compared to me, because here's my response, right? Anyways, go read his article, because it's a very good article. But my response to this is that, Matt Mercer has once again proved himself to be a disingenuous little shit, a two-faced liar, basically, because he went and responded to this effect, to the Mercer effect, by saying, "Oh, that's a pity, and everybody should game. It's their game, and you should enjoy your game," and this sort of thing, and at no point addressing the actual elephant in the room. Nowhere did he, I don't know if I really need him to apologize, but you need him to admit everything would be fixed if he just admits, he says, guys, our thing is a show. It's not actually the way the game goes. But he doesn't want to do that. He refuses to do that because he wants to keep creating the fantasy and making money off of his D&D reality TV show. Now, I'm not sure I understand this, because I don't think that if he went and just said, what, we're a bunch of professional paid actors and we're doing this game and we're presenting it in this way, and it's not that our game is completely fake, it's not scripted, but we do a bunch of stuff, and your normal D&D games are not like this. They're not the same thing, but you could try D&D and it'll be really fun anyways if you don't assume that it's going to be like being on the Matt Mercer TV show, right? If he said that, that's all that it would take, and I don't really think that would cause any loss of his, often fanatical fan base of mostly people that aren't all that interested in D&D anyways, right? Like, they're not going to abandon him for that. They don't think it's real, right? They don't care. It has been statistically shown that they don't care about the rules in the game. They don't care about the dice. They don't care about anything except for the drama, right? So just admit it, Matt. Admit that your game is not authentic D&D. It's not actually how it's going on. It's a twisted, warped show business version of D&D, and that is causing young would-be gamers, to have a distorted view of what the game should be like.
If you did that, then that would be sincere. What you're doing right now, which is, wringing your hands on Twitter with concern about, oh, it's just so terrible that any other gamers would be affected by my totally real game and my totally real awesome DM skills that are so wonderful that it ruins the game for others. It's just a pity that my completely normal D&D game that I just happen to be making a small fortune off is causing people this problem because of how normal my D&D game is, and somehow people aren't enjoying other people's normal games that are exactly like mine. Screw that. Like, seriously. You could not be more deceptive. And the thing I hate is that you constantly do this with this facade, this improv theater freaking mask, right, of somebody who's an empathic and caring individual. You've done this a half dozen times already, where you've exposed your petit fascism, your leftist totalitarianism, and your money-grubbing, self-serving agenda, right? You've done all of this while having this face of, Saint Mercer or something like that. You want everyone to think you're the nice guy. You are not the nice guy. If you were the nice guy, you'd man up and say, you know what? We're actors, right? We're doing a show. Your game is not going to be like this show, okay? That's what you have to do if you want to show yourself to be an actual decent person. What you're doing right now is not what a decent person does, Matt. Sorry, I needed to light my pipe after that one. See, I don't get how some people think that, people fall for this over and over again in RPGs and elsewhere. The pretend gentle, friendly face, the fake concern, the fake caring person who has a double agenda that is blatantly obvious. Sometimes they're doing it right in your face, and they prefer that to the guy who is mean but is telling you the truth, right? Mean but honest, right? I will take every day of the week. Never mind, it doesn't have to be someone who agrees with me, right? Mercer could still disagree with me about every point, but if he behaved sincerely, if he was actually being honest and not putting on an act, then I would be much less pissed off by him, right? And by this sort of behavior. All right, so that was my point, right? This is, the Mercer effect is unfortunately real. Matt Mercer's D&D themed reality TV show is unfortunately not real, right? Those are two great truths that I am sending you here, right? And that's the latter is the reason for the former. The fact that Critical Role is not real D&D is what is causing the Mercer effect in real D&D groups, okay? And it could be fixed if he just admitted it. But he won't, because he's Matt Mercer. So if you like this video, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, because you want to be informed when I'm going to be doing a live stream and stuff like that. I have the very bad habit of not announcing my live streams beforehand. And please share this video anywhere you think that it'll piss off Matt Mercer, or anywhere that it'll piss off anyone who is going to be pissed off by this video. Feel free also to share it anywhere that there's someone who's going to like this video. And if you want to support me, this is normally the part where I'd say support me on Patreon, but I have every intention of leaving Patreon very soon. I mean, if Patreon is your way of supporting people, then support me on Patreon for now. Eventually I'll quit it, but as soon as there's that alternative available. But if not, there's a couple of other ways you can support me, so that if I get enough support, if I find myself, benefiting enough from this, and here I am being sincere with you, I'll do more videos, right? I'll do live streams and stuff like that. So if you click on my blog, the link is in the description below, you'll find that on the right-hand side of my blog, there's a PayPal button where you can do a PayPal donation, right? If I get enough of those, I'll do more live streams. I'll even schedule them ahead of time, right? And if you want to support me in some other way, you can check out my RPG Pundit Presents series, which is a series of small PDFs. They vary in price from the smallest ones 99 cents to the biggest ones like $3.99, I think. And all of them are basically supplements or adventure scenarios for OSR games with two general thematics. One of them is gonzo games, so like crazy, weird, science fantasy sort of stuff. Or medieval authentic, which is stuff like what you have in Lion and Dragon and Dark Albion, right? Which is, really focused, historical, detailed, with magic that is like the way magic worked in the Middle Ages, or the way that people in the Middle Ages thought magic worked, and a lot of very interesting elements of details into medieval history and culture. So if any of those appeal to you, then check out the RPG Pundit Presents series, and you want to help me out, get yourself every PDF there that you think would be cool for you to read, or better yet, to use in your game. You can use it for OSR or for any fantasy RPG, basically. Your D&D campaign will like it. So that's everything for today. But just, share the videos everywhere. Currently smoking Lorenzetti Half Volcano plus Morning Drive.